The rise of Dark Jedi plagued the Order with many new challenges, and among these challenges was how to outwit enemy Force users in lightsaber duels. But there was a problem. Since the lightsaber was created millennia ago, the Jedi Order had only used one simple technique in combat. This was known as Shi-Cho, or Form 1, and it was almost entirely useless when it came to dueling other lightsaber-wielding combatants. After all, the Jedi held a monopoly on the weapon, and they arrogantly never expected to face off against splinter groups of their own community. Now, Form 1 reflected their short-sightedness. That first technique relied far too much on a Jedi's natural connection to the Force, and their ability to use it to direct their actions. Without a series of specific deadly moves, watching any Form 1 duelist was akin to watching a youngling wildly deflect blaster bolts from a training droid. Desperate for a way to defeat the ever-increasing Sith and Dark Jedi left in the wake of their great schisms, the Jedi took their dueling halls and developed Makashi, Form 2. So what exactly was Form 2? And why did it suddenly disappear, nearly 1,000 years before the rise of Darth Sidious's new galactic empire? When we look at Makashi, it's tempting to describe the martial art as an entirely reactionary new form. Much of what makes it unique was based on the glaring weaknesses present in Shi-Cho, or Form 1. While Form 1 dissuaded its practitioners from killing their opponents, and instead focused on simply disarming them, if they could, Form 2 taught the opposite. Among Form 2's primary objectives was preventing an enemy from slicing your lightsaber out of your hand. And since Makashi fell into favor with early Sith and Dark Jedi, it's not hard to see how the precision-based lightsaber technique allowed its practitioners to kill their opponents far more easily than Form 1. After all, Shiak, the piercing motion of plunging the point of a lightsaber through an opponent's body, as opposed to slicing at it, was one of Form 2's primary goals. As we describe the disparity between the lightsaber dueling techniques, it might be hard to imagine just how different they are with words alone. So just take a look at their most famous practitioners and you'll be able to see the difference. By the modern era, Form 1 was almost entirely relegated to younglings, as the beginner form that all newly initiated Jedi were mandated to study. The only high-ranking master who even cared to become an expert in it was Kit Fisto. Throughout the Clone Wars, the Nautolan Master showed just how powerful Form 1 could be, when wielded in the right way, able to deflect blaster fire from multiple enemies in the midst of a battle, and take on several melee options at once. The far less precise but liberal style of Form 1 was perfect for taking on several lesser skilled enemies at once. But when we look at Form 2's most famous master, we see an entirely different tale. Count Dooku was one of the only Form 2 experts alive during the Clone Wars, and he also happened to be among the greatest duelists in the galaxy. Empowered by his own great strength in the Force, and also the dark side, Dooku used Form 2 to easily defeat Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Darth Maul in combat. In his small but precise strikes and parries, you can see just how different Makashi was to other lightsaber techniques. The Sith Lord often remarked that lightsaber dueling was about precision and control, both attributes that Makashi focused on. But there's a reason Count Dooku was one of the few remaining Form 2 masters by the Clone Wars. By Palpatine's era, the Sith had hidden themselves for an entire millennium. That meant the Jedi didn't have to worry about fighting lightsaber-wielding opponents in battle, and instead were far more likely to face a group of blaster-toting mercenaries or Outer Rim criminals. Form 2 was perfect for one-on-one duels, but it was awful for taking on several opponents at once, and even worse at defending against conventional weapons like the EE-3 carbine rifle or the A310 carbine. The Battle of Ruusan in 1000 BBY led Darth Bane to create the Rule of Two and caused Sith to all but vanish from the galaxy, nearly taking Form 2 into obscurity with it. Although the Jedi continued to teach it at their temple, aspiring young Padawans turned their attention away from the art of dueling Sith. After a while, the prospect of having to defend oneself from a dark side user was so preposterous that Form 2, like Form 1, was regarded as an ancient holdover from a long, long time ago. But a few of Makashi's moves, like their ability to prevent Sun Diem, the disarming maneuver, were preserved in almost all forms. In addition to the lack of actual lightsaber-wielding enemies, Form 2 fell out of favor for another reason. If you were strong enough, you could just hack your way to victory against a Makashi master. If you look at Dooku's precise, deliberate dueling style, you can see that he doesn't really create a lot of momentum for himself. That lack of movement, while perfect for getting the upper hand on a less skilled opponent, was hard to utilize when facing down a towering Wookiee Jedi like Taivoka, Plo Koon's master. Since the Jedi often found themselves pitted against far more powerful opponents, it was important that they utilized a lightsaber technique that made the most of their typically smaller stature. Now, when going against Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith on the Invisible Hand ship, Anakin's Form 5 Diam-So, which we will eventually go over, proved to be too powerful and aggressive now that he had somewhat mastered it against Dooku. That, coupled with the fact that, well, he was Anakin Skywalker and extremely powerful in the dark side, which he was now tapping into at that moment, Dooku was no match for him. And on top of all that, he was actually just supposed to be sparring with Skywalker, just merely testing him as per orders of Palpatine. Ultimately, the legacy of Form 2 is one that changes the ebb and flow of dark side enemies that popped up around the galaxy, when the Sith re-emerged, that is, as they did during Exar Kun's siege of Onderon or later during the Brotherhood of Darkness's reign in 1032 BBY. Form 2 also soared in popularity, but when the Sith were defeated and the galaxy was at peace, Makashi, the way of the Ysalamiri, disappeared as well. Did you guys know Dooku was one of the best lightsaber duelists in the entire galaxy? And a little unknown or known fact is that Sir Christopher Lee, who played Count Dooku, was actually a champion swordsman. He was a fencer. And so in the prequels, Nick Gillard, the swordmaster who did all the choreography for the fights, assigned different fighting styles to the different actors and characters, of course. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with him and Sir Christopher Lee's conversations regarding fencing and swordplay. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to check out the other ones. Have a great day, and until the next one, remember, the Force will be with you always.
What you just saw was a snippet of the cinematics so far from what we have. However, this is by no means what the actual fan film will look like. This is like freaking Super Nintendo compared to what it'll actually look like, and I feel like we could compare it to probably like a PS5 if you want to compare what the quality will be. But anyways, I appreciate you if you guys become members for 99 cents a month. I'll be posting a lot of exclusive stuff all the time for you. It'll probably take me a year and a half to make the whole thing, and it'll cost well over $250,000 for sure. But anyways,